Hello, everyone. This is Tom, your host for the Hidden Shoes channel. How's everybody doing this evening? I'm going to start doing a live stream on Sunday nights called Open Discussion Sunday, and that's what the first one we're going to have tonight. So I'll talk about the subjects I want to, and then I'll look at the chat, answer a question for somebody, But I'll go for 2 hours tonight if we get enough interest in the program. But that all depends on YouTube too, right? Anyway, boy, I tell you what, the last 30 hours it's been really windy here. And hey, Rocky, Sunday Night Football on. I know. I don't really get into the NFL much anymore. I'm a college guy, so anyway, I'm here in Nebraska. But anyway, I know I'm competing with Sunday Night Football, but I appreciate you checking in. Okay, check out the subject. What's up, man? Oh, I'll tell you what. This is what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to discuss a subject. You want to stick around or leave a comment, and then I'm going to pick up on the chat. I'm going to talk about what somebody wants to talk about in chat, a couple people, and then I'll go back to mine, back and forth. See if we can get a couple hours going tonight. Anyway, first thing I want to talk about. I was talking about the wind was blowing crazy, right? Well, it's calmed down, and I didn't do my fireside chat tonight because we are going to have an awesome week this week, and I am going camping Tuesday morning. I'm probably take off for 4 days, and I'm going to work on YouTube really hard, doing a lot of good outdoor videos and stuff for my Lone Wolf Prepper channel, do my live streams on here. So I'll be by a campfire for starting Tuesday night for a few nights and stuff. I'm going to go disperse camp in one of the national forests. I don't know which one yet. And make sure all my equipment's running fine because in case Portland happens to come out here. Anyway, my first subject I want to talk about, like I say, get a comment in and I'll discuss what you want to discuss. Just hang around. But the first thing I want to discuss is our war on drugs, okay? And us in the Caribbean blowing ships up and stuff. I mean, that last video they released, boy, that was something else. Just blew that sucker right out of the water. Thing is, I didn't see nothing come in and hit it. So almost like there was a bomb on board, but I'm sure that wasn't it. But that was pretty crazy, huh? And the thing is, this war with Venezuela, okay? Me being in a Marine, okay? All this training they're doing in Puerto Rico that they're making such a big deal about it. No, it's Vieques Island. I was there in 1987 doing exercises with the Marine Corps. It's one place where you can go in and, it's just a good place to train. But that's normal. That's been going on. I did that 38 years ago at Vieques Island. So, but they try to sit there and see, a lot of people don't know that. And the news sits there, oh my God, the train on Vieques Island. You know how many ships they're going to need surrounding Venezuela before they can go in? Do you think 4,000 Marines and some helicopter carriers, you're going to need an aircraft carrier? Hey, Maven Green, how's it going? You're going to need aircraft carriers. You're going to need a hell of a lot of supply ships. Okay, it's not like we got many friendly ports around there. But anyway, there would be such a buildup first. Anyway, if war was to happen, it's a while from happening. That would be the war we're going to have after we have the war with Russia. Like and subscribe, brother. Respect from London. Oh my goodness, what you guys are dealing with over there. I tell you what, you're from London. You need to go back about when you started having all those problems after that Scottish girl, that 14-year-old girl. But anyway, and you're not allowed to say you like bacon. Go back and check out some of my shorts. I have one a tribute to the British people, okay? And I don't know if you ever seen Grumpy Your Old Man, where the old man's talking, Burgess Meredith talking about what he eats for breakfast, bacon, what he eats for lunch, bacon. Check it out, man. I tell you what, you guys are in a world of hurt, even worse than us. But see, we're right behind you. What happens in Europe, the United States makes sure it's got to get its hands into. But, you guys aren't even allowed to have knives. I mean, obviously gun control didn't work there. Now you got knife control. And this is what anyway, yeah, it's a bad time over there for you people. Then your government doesn't give a shit. I mean, look at how long it took you to get to Brexit. I mean, how many years did that take after you voted to get it? Vote it, and then you get a new prime minister in that would just chicken dick the whole thing and forget about it, right? All these Western countries, white people are bad, right? White people have a bad culture. White people can't accomplish anything, right? But it's amazing. All these non-white nationalities want to come to white dominated countries and cultures to live a better life. Doesn't make much sense, does it? But this is what we're dealing with. Anyway, if you like the channel and the content, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and bell notification. Trying to get the channel to grow because YouTube's really slamming down hard on it. Hard on it. Okay, but that's what I got about Venezuela. We're not going to war with them. Let me see some. England is strong. I know England's strong. But you know what? When you guys get as pissed off as the Patriots were back in the 1770s, then England will be stronger when you sit there and throw out that shit. Just like this country will be stronger when we throw out this shit. Anyway, but let's get a subject in there. That's all I got to say about Venezuela. Somebody got there out there that want me to discuss something? Or should I go on to my next subject? Like I say, if you got a question to ask it now. There's no super chats here. That's one thing about this channel. I'm not going to sound like an infomercial, and I'm not going to sit there and, you people need to send me money to support my channel. I got a job, okay? When I'm getting close to being monetized, when that happens, all you got to do is watch a commercial. Let the advertisers pay for it. What do you think about black fatigue? You know what it is? It's not black fatigue anymore. It's stupid fatigue. I mean, look what's happening in Portland. I don't live around minorities. I live in a county out here in flyover country where we don't have minorities. In the whole county, we just don't have them. But that doesn't mean the Marine Corps, my best friends were a Mexican, a black guy, and a hillbilly from North Carolina. That were my three best buddies in the Marine Corps. I had a variety, right? We all got along. See, what I don't understand is, the culture, the victimization culture. I mean, don't these people see you've been living in generations and generations of section housing? All the government do is keeps you down. But yeah, you're living in the big cities and I never had a problem getting along with any nationality or race because they were all as miserable and dirty as I was. Nobody cared about your color. We were all miserable at the same time. The thing is, if you feel you need special treatment because of your color or your gender or your nationality, you don't understand America. The true America doesn't make you a victim. The true America sets you free so you can spread your wings and soar and become whatever you want to be. Only you keep yourself down in this country. Nobody else does. And if you listen to the politicians, well, you're going to be keeping yourself down. But we need, get rid of the victim mentality. Anyway, so why are farmers crying right now? I don't know. I got a question. I don't know. Being in agriculture, it's extremely hard as an American white guy to get a job. With all these 50 plus million H-1B visa workers here, I mean, these employers are hiring. They could have 20 employees. 18 of them are foreigners. This is what we're dealing with now. What are the farmers complaining about? I don't know. You know, I work for a lot of farmers and ranchers. I don't see how they make it. I add it up in my head, and it always comes up they should be losing money. I mean, when you got a tractor back in the 1970s that you did field work with, not as fast, okay, for under $10,000, brand new, and now you can't touch a tractor to work in a field for $250,000, $250,000. It's not like grain prices have gone up. I don't know how they do it. You know, you want to probably see funky math, look at agriculture. But, you know, like I say, you know, I've worked for a lot of them. I had one milk cows for him, right? And he was bumming because he's waiting for his government subsidy check for not doing nothing. You know, they pay farmers to do nothing so they can regulate the prices of shit. By the way, because he was going to take his family, this was in Minnesota, down to Disney World in February, and he was going to use that check, and he's going to get $30,000 check, and they don't call that welfare. No, it's not welfare when you get thousands and millions and billions of dollars, is it? And I'm sitting there working, milking his cows, and he's talking about how he can enjoy, you know, he don't want to pay for his vacation. He wants the government to pay for it, and he's all happy when he got his check. Yeah, that's farming, people. That's farming. You know, welfare, the government should not be in the job of giving out money to anybody except paying the government's bills. And the American citizen is not one of the government's bills that they got to give money to. That's why you got your pursuit of happiness and your liberty. And the government protects that. So you can either become a success or, you know, whatever. You pursue your happiness. And if it doesn't work out for you, the government's not there as a parachute. It's not the government's money anyway. It's our money. Can you imagine how our taxes could go down if we weren't starting all these wars and we weren't spilling $1 trillion plus on health and human services, which is probably $1.5 trillion now every year. Basically, the money that we go in debt every year is the money that we're paying people to do nothing. That's the money that's putting us in debt every year. Look it up. And now giving the Department of War $1 trillion plus. Anyway, I did like Pete Hexa that got on the generals and all this stuff. You know, yeah, in the military, you should be in shape. I always had to be, but they don't even have physical fitness tests anymore. I mean, like I say, in my unit, we were all like football players. Okay, anyway, next subject, everybody. What do you want to discuss? Let me see. The Jays took out our boy Charlie, and you all just took in SMH. I don't know what that means. Are you talking baseball? Is that still going on? Digital IDs will come. Oh my God. Let's get into digital currency. I remember, anybody remember Art Bell, Coast to Coast AM? I used to listen to that back in the day over 20 years ago, right? 20 some years ago. And I remember when they used to have guests on there talking about digital currency. And this was, 21, 22 years ago. And they're talking about all the control the government would have. Basically what digital currency is, okay? It's going to be like Social Security. An account where you're required to put money into it. You're required to make the deposits. But the government gets to control the withdrawals. Meaning that the government, just like Social Security, is your primary signature on that account. Every purchase you want to make has to go through that primary signature on your account. It's going to be bad, people. That's just the start of it. Now you want me to go down the rabbit hole a little bit? Okay. Then they can start rationing. Everything's got a code on it now, right? Everything. So even if you got 1 million credits on your card and you want to buy that another pound of hamburger, but you're only allowed it 3 or 4 a month, you can't buy that 5th pound. All right? Now let's go a little deeper. So they can ration everything. They don't have to make the Second Amendment illegal. They'll just deny your purchase of your gun or your ammo. But anyway, let's go down the rabbit hole a little bit further. Now they can attach everything that you buy, meaning when you buy that pound of hamburger is attached to you with the code on, with the label on the package, right? That specific pound of hamburger is attached to you. And you're not allowed to help out or barter or anything like that, right? And then they go to raid this person's house because you helped them out, and they find the pound of hamburger that you bought in that person's freezer. You see how crazy it can get? And that's just with digital currency. I live a Lone Wolf Prepper's life, okay? That's my other channel, Lone Wolf Prepper Lives. But that's me next year. I'm done with this. I'm not putting none of this. Because I tell you what, all he's doing, he's giving the Democrats so much ammunition when they take over. If you're MAGA, yeah, I wonder who they're going to declare a terrorist group. But the digital ID, I ain't getting it. Nothing in the Constitution saying I need to have an ID. I realize I'm not going to be able to do anything without it. That's fine. Then society leaves me alone and I'll leave them alone. When I'm living like I am with the scenery behind me, obviously I'm not needing too much from society. If you want to know how I want to live, it would be Dick Pernicke, Twin Lakes, Alaska. Dick Pernicke. Check it out once. A man at 53 went out and lived in the woods, built his own cabin and stuff. A real lone wolf. Because he had it with society. Anyway, yeah, and they want digital ID. See, the thing is, it's more control. So, your digital ID, right? You go someplace, except for voting, I guess. You won't need it for voting, right? Let's remember that. But everything else, you're going to have to show that digital ID. And it flags you for whatever. He used too much power last month. You need to bring him in so we can talk about what's going on. Oh, yeah. Or, they want these self-driving cars. They always said they can sit there and make your car stop if the cops are chasing you. They can also make it do 150 miles around the corner, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. 150 miles an hour around the corner now, can't they? No, there's no way I'd ever own a computerized car. Fake is the new real. The new normal, well, obviously safety is not the new normal. But because everybody's living in fantasy land. Obviously, if you think you're a cat, you're not living in reality. If you think that's possible, that's as fake. Or a guy can have a baby. I mean, come on, people. I mean, this is what I'm saying. The mental illness, if we want to call it that, or the stupidity, or the lack of absolute common sense, is just like, woo. It's hard to have a discussion with these people. Because if you sit there and start talking logic or facts, they just throw you with some insane shit that's impossible. You can't argue it. It's so insane. And then they're not afraid to get violent. I mean, if they want to sit there and, you could be walking away and they'll be right on your ass. Just taunting you. Just like they're doing in Portland. In Chicago, they're a little bit more organized because they 10 cars surrounded ICE. I mean, you're talking dangerous situation, people. People are going to start getting killed over this. You look bit fruity. No, I was just a Marine for 8 years. Comes with the territory. So, what's normal these days? Is normal, me wanting to go out and going to live like that away from everybody? Is that normal? No, I call that antisocial. What's happening in Portland and Chicago? This is the thing, people. You're just giving Trump ammunition to bring the troops in. Duh. You're helping them out take control. Useful idiots to the rescue. Republicans are using the Democratic useful idiots better than the Democrats did. And they're too blind to see what's going on. Anyway, is that normal? Is what's going on in Washington, D.C. normal with all our money and the hoax and, is that normal? What the hell is normal anymore? 50 some years ago, 40 some years, 30 years ago, before Monica Lewinsky, God dang. I still always go back to that. Boy, remember the days of Monica Lewinsky, how safe the world was? God, it's like a lifetime ago. So that was back in 96. So that was 29 years ago. So unless you're about 35 to 40, that's when you probably start remembering it. But, crazy times. Crazy time. This guy's IQ is like 40 or at most. Hey, single event upset. I'm glad you're commenting. Whatever, you can think what you want. Well, I can add as long as I use my fingers and toes. I get over 21, I may be screwed. Oh, that's right, I can play 21. I tell you what, watch my other content. You think I'm a dumb man? Watch my other content. Go through there, man. I got well over 1,200 videos. Check them out. See what you think. Bet you I got a few shorts on there that have you going, what the hell is he talking about? Anyway, well, I appreciate you. But thank you for my service. I appreciate that, Ariel. But a lot of Americans are going to be forced into service in the future. Okay, we got a civil war coming. There's not going to be much middle ground for anybody. I mean, especially if you live in a city and, they want to start a new Chaz or Chaz or Chop in their city, and you're in that zone. City's just a bad place to be right now. These people have lost their minds. Anyway, but yeah, check out my content, everybody. Like I say, if you like the content, hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification. Trying to get the channel to grow. This week, if you come and watch my live streams this week, I may do one every night this week. But I'm going camping. It's going to be a beautiful week. I'm going to the National Forest. Going to do some dispersed camping. Make sure all my gear's working right. Sit out by the campfire at night. Check out the stars. Make some 1,200 videos of horse shit. Well, you don't have to watch it. I'm not telling you you have to watch it. I'm not a communist who's going to sit you down in front of a overhead projector and say, you got to watch all this. And you have a right to your opinion, sir. Okay? Sorry, not going to get me razzled tonight. You're short. The thing is, I love trolls, right? I got these going in school. Went in the Marine Corps and nothing was said nice to you. And everybody's been dead honest with me from day one, and these trolls think they're going to say something. I was brought up, sticks and stones will hurt your bones, but words will never hurt you. I realize a lot of people now that words are the worst thing. Oh my God, he said something I can't handle. I've been microaggressioned. Who gives a shit? My freedom of speech is not restricted to what upsets you. Just like your freedom of speech is not restricted to what upsets me. We're on the same playing field, buddy. And when all these people realize who the real enemy is and cause you to hate like that and throw insults, then you'll realize who the real enemy is. And if you don't, well, then you got to wait till they come knocking on your door. I don't know what to tell some people, Like I say, some of these people, I'm outside the cage, right? Like I say, where I live, watch some of my shorts, you'll see. But I'm outside the cage, right? And I'm opening the door for these people, leaving it wide open and saying to them, come on out. Come on out. You're free. Come on out of that cage. But you know why they won't leave the cage? Because they're scared of that outside world. Because in that outside world, they are responsible for themselves. They're not going to get fed. They'll have to become true Americans. True Americans, they don't want the government in their way. They don't want freebies from the government. I grew up poor. Okay, when poor still existed. And my parents would never take anything. We'd walk bean fields back in the early mid-70s and stuff as a family to earn money. Yeah. 80-acre, 100-acre field. Take 3 rows, start walking up and down the rows. Stuff you couldn't even get people to do these days. Because you know what? We weren't going to make our neighbors pay for our stuff. That was a bad thing back then. It was a stigma to be on government handouts. But now it's an entitlement. You're born into it. Hey, let's keep them there. You're never going to know true freedom if you're not allowed to spread your wings and soar. And then we got Social Security, right? How come everybody on Social Security is still working? Obviously, Social Security didn't work. I mean, they're getting ripped off. All these people that get Social Security, SSI now, that have never put into it at all. But because they're a victim somehow, right? Power, power, power. We need to bring back nut houses. Yeah. Because I live out here in safe zone, okay? But if you're in these big cities, I mean, these mentally deranged, ill people on the street are far more dangerous than that person with a gun. If you're just an average citizen walking down the street, you don't know if they're going to jab you with a needle or something, pour gasoline on you and start you on fire. It's unsafe. Heck, the criminals that are walking the street probably feel unsafe from these people. Phoenix is shitty. Oh, you live in Phoenix, huh? I'm thinking maybe this winter I may go down to the mountains there in Arizona and check it out. Anyway, we'll see. But that's one state I've never been to was Arizona. Like to try it, check it out. Here it's beautiful. I do know people that drove through Phoenix and stuff, and they said Phoenix is just absolutely beautiful. So I can't wait to see it. Back when you can work and pay for else, you need help, not a prison or medication. We need to go back to our Creator and ask for forgiveness. Yeah. But see, to follow God, when you start following God in his path, everything works out for you. And then it's medication stuff. 58. I take no medications. None. I haven't been to the doctor in over 20 years. Well, maybe it's been about 20 years. But then again, I use a push mower. I use a shovel to shovel snow. I use a maul to split wood. I still work hard. And I'll trade that any day over sitting 6 to 8 hours a month in a doctor's office. People sit in doctor's offices like that, start paying a gym membership and spend 16 hours in a gym a month and build up. That'll do you a hell of a lot better than any doctor you go to. But a doctor will never tell you that, because if you get better, back when I was a kid, right? Or up until I stopped going to the doctor, it used to be you got a prescription, you took it for a week or 10 days, and that was it. Now it's 1 pill daily, 1 pill daily. We're obviously the most unhealthy country in the world. People say, no, we're the healthiest. Really? Then why do we need so many pharmaceuticals? Both mentally and physically. And a pill ain't going to make you better. It just isn't. Anyway, and all these people that have to take 10, 20 pills a day, my God, what's that do to your stomach? I don't know. That comes to me. Excuse me. It's time to lean up against, sit next to a tree and with my Second Amendment in my hand and write a note to the guy who finds me, right? Like Jeremiah Johnson. Was that the name? Jeremiah Johnson? Was that the name of that movie? Are you retired now? No, I'm not retired. I got to work. I actually got a little tree business. I only got to work like 4 or 5 days a month, if that, But I stay busy. I'm one of them guys that I'll probably work until the day I die, till they sit there and finally, well, he didn't want to go to the hospital. He'd rather go work. And now I worked hard as a kid, worked hard as a teenager, put in the Marine Corps, and I worked hard all. That's all I know. And I don't know what I would, this is why I'm going camping this week. I want to work on YouTube and stuff. I start getting monetized on YouTube where I can really have a good channel and travel and experience things and still have my discussions and stuff. But, I'm kind of, I live a simple life. When I was in the Marine Corps and we traveled the world, I saw the evil that our money did. And that's when I realized this back in the 80s that being rich was never something I wanted, never something that I was going to sit there and put on my list that I must accomplish. And, I just found out that the more money you have, you get punished for it. And all you do is everybody else think he's doing great, and they have their hand out. Having money is not for me. I don't like the attention it gives me. I have good paying jobs, okay? I've had property. I refuse to deal with that shit anymore. I don't have a problem helping people out, but I help you out with my labor. I don't like the pressures of having money. I don't like it. Over a green piece of frickin' paper, that means nothing. So, I hate money. It's a necessary evil in today's world. And I partake in as least as possible. That's the best way I can say. Yeah, because they do have anything. This is have not. We do what we do. Yeah, because they do not have anything. It's the have and have not. The thing is, the government started telling everybody that everybody needs to be on the top. The only place everybody is equal is at the bottom. But they made it, like I say, we grew up poor. Freaking poor. All right? But everybody's their new, how can you say it? Nobody's allowed to be poor anymore. Being poor was a bad thing. But being on government entitlement when I was growing up was worse. Now it's like, you're struggling. Go to the government. The government's here to help. No, struggle a little bit. You'll come out of the gate even stronger and faster. The government should not be the cushy thing if everything doesn't work out for you. Because not the government, it's your neighbor. So anyway, it's better to be your neighbor taking care of you. That don't hurt your pride, but being poor hurts your pride. That's not the way I grew up. Okay? Is a temporary help from, temporary should be good. You shouldn't be on it. I mean, If you can't get back, let's say you're on it for 90 days and you get a job, okay? And then give you a couple, another month or two to help you get going till you get money built up. And then you're on your own. See, this is the thing. People are never going to advance in their life if they accept having what the government gives them. They want what their neighbor has, a boat, nice truck, and all this shit. But they don't want to sacrifice like he does, work his ass off, miss his family to make a living and have something in the future. They don't understand that part. They don't understand the sacrifice that guy has or that gal has to have that. Just like this younger generation, they look at the baby boomers and stuff. I'm not a baby boomer. I missed it by 3 years. But they want at 20 what the baby boomers have now. It's not fair. Well, that baby boomer started out making $2 an hour, but back then you could sit there, put your kids through college, buy a house, only one person working, okay? And they want all that. Well, they had to work for decades to get it. One thing, when you're 20 and you have kids and you're married, you're not going to start making any money until your kids start leaving the house. That's just the way it is, folks. I found, when we left, all of a sudden my parents' house is getting fixed up, new furniture, everything's great. And I understood the same thing too when my kids started taking care of themselves. Guess what? Boy, you have money then. But you have to sit there and do those 20, 25 years in the trenches, like we all had to. And then you understand when you come out of there and you start making money, you pinch pennies for so long, you understand how to save money and live with less. Anyway, but everybody's supposed to have what everybody else has now, or it's not fair. Me, I'm not into materialistic things. All right? I got a Ringer washer I used from the 1950s. All right, as a wash machine. Oh, yeah, I got a video of that on here too. All right, I like going backwards with technology. I mean, I may have my degree in electronics, but, in the Marine Corps, back in the 90s, we had stuff 10 years before you guys did. So the stuff I was using, it finally came out after I was in the Marine Corps. But I know how the internet could have been used, especially when we were using the military-style internet before the civilian world ever had it. And believe me, they used to monitor that like a banshee. Beetle J, you got a message deleted. That means Google is in here. And, whatever. Google comes in here, they start deleting messages and stuff. It's not me doing it, but none of my monitors are in here tonight because this is a new kind of Sunday thing. And I'm sure they might all be enjoying Sunday night football. So I appreciate all you guys coming here instead of the football game. I don't even know who's playing. Anyway, big Minnesota fan I was. Grew up in Minnesota. Always want to sit there and finally see the Vikings win the Super Bowl. But after this year and, with the kneeling at the national anthem, stuff I've been putting up with all these years, but with Minnesota and the cheerleader squad this year, I've had enough. I've had enough. I used to go to Minnesota Vikings football games. Never made one in the old Met Center, but in the Metrodome, I went quite a few times. And I can't imagine watching the cheerleaders on the sidelines with two things in there. Okay, that's beyond my ability to deal with. All the damn suits want to erase the middle class. Mike done it already. Yeah. And how do you, like I say, they want to make everybody equal. They're trying to make everybody dependent on the government. Okay, for instance, let's say you lived your whole life, worked hard, never had any type of government assistance at all. None. Never had to file with any type of government agency. You took care of all your needs, right? And then you turn 65 and all of a sudden you go to a government office and the paperwork never stops. And you got to sign this, sign that, and they basically control your life. See, I'm not even going to file for Social Security. They can shove that shit up their ass. People say, well, all that you paid in. Yeah, who cares? It's blood money, people. It's blood money. And I definitely don't need money that bad that I need it from the government. Okay? But shit show. But erasing the middle class, yeah. You get punished. Like I say, the jobs when I was middle class and I was making money, paying taxes up the ass, everything always costs more. You get taken advantage of and you get punished. All the hours I worked to give to the government, screw that shit. My time's worth more now. And at my age, I realize my time is more important than any money. Money can be replaced. My time can't. And since we want to sit there and have civil war in this country, I'm going to enjoy as much time as I possibly can and have fun, like I'm going camping and stuff. Just ain't taking the horse with me. The feds will let these dangerous criminals walk, but the moment you make a mistake financially, the IRS is up your ass. This is my tax plan. If I was president, and chime in if you like it, this is my tax plan. A 10% federal sales tax across the board. That's it, 10%. You only pay tax, and then they can have their tariffs on the other country. But like a state sales tax, you pay your 10%. People, well, that's nuts. That ain't gonna do nothing. Yeah, now listen to this. Okay. If your company, let's say you deal with a company that has 500 to 1,000 employees, I guess they call that a small company these days. And that company didn't have to sit there and forfeit the cost it takes to deal with the IRS. They could get rid of their IRS lawyers, their whole department that takes care of dealing with paying taxes and stuff. How much money would that save the company? Okay? Plus, the company doesn't, I think the company has to give what, 10% now towards Social Security on your wages? They wouldn't have to pay that. Put it this way, the company could give you at least a 15% raise overnight. Then you'd still be getting your whole paycheck, your whole frickin' paycheck. So your pay is between you and your boss and not the government. And then, if you live a frugal life like me, where you only spend, maybe $1,100 a month, that means my tax bill, federal tax bill, would be $110 a month. Tell me that wouldn't work. But why won't they have it? Because obviously that would work. It'd put more money in our pockets. It would stimulate the economy. And then you pay your taxes on how much you spend. So again, nothing against you women. So if you happen to be married who has a wife who likes shopping, well, you're probably going to be paying more in federal taxes than me, okay? But a 10% tax across the board, federal sales tax. Then you could regulate how much you pay in taxes. Imagine having control over your life and your money like that. But don't worry, they're coming out with digital currency. That's all going to be swept under the rug. Okay, like I say, when digital currency comes out and you think you're going to have control of your bank account, like I say, do you have control of your Social Security account? No. Just required to put money in the damn thing. The government controls the withdrawals. It has to okay everything, right? And then if it's not all used up when you pass, then it just goes to them. Could you imagine working your whole life, 65, all that retirement money, and then at 66, you die, government, another way, and Social Security was voluntary when it first came out. But see, the government gets its foot in the door and then crashes it open. Yeah, it was voluntary. It was a retirement plan, a government retirement plan that was voluntary. Well, those days are over with. Anyway, I bet you have no idea what you are whining about. Oh, I have everything. Aryan Blitzkrieg. Oh my God. Do we got a Nazi in here? You want to sit there and talk about World War II, buddy? I'm a history student. Okay? You want to know about real World War II? Don't look at the history. Read the diaries or listen to the diaries of German soldiers, German POWs, men and women, Japanese. You might get a different view of World War II, you might say, in the superiority of I'm German, but I don't believe because I'm German, I'm superior to everybody. Anyway, but and then you look at what put Hitler in power. It was because the Weimar Republic was so Sodom and Gomorrah beyond anything the German culture could deal with, that they'd rather have a crazy man in power. Any correlation to what's going on in this country? Okay. We got a guy out here in the next county over that flies an SS flag on his property. An SS flag. You're allowed to believe however you want. But, the Nazis were not a good group of people. Not the German people, the Nazis. Terrible people. It's like the politicians we got in charge now on both parties. Anyway, those horses are gay. Why don't you watch some of my shorts? I got horses. I'm a cowboy. So, but that's all right. You don't like, I love that, I guess you call it a tapestry. But you don't like it, that's fine. You think horses are gay? Well, there are not too many people that can ride with me. We'll just say that. Because let's say I'll take a 10-mile ride. My horses, I may walk a mile of it, broken up, trot, 6 of it, 6.5, and run 2 or 3, 2.5, 3 of it. Rope and ride. Just another skill to have. But anyway, yeah, you don't like those horses? Those horses are awesome. Anyway, check out my shorts. You'll see my horses. Yep, there's a limit. Like probably 6 or 7. Horses are cool. I just came done riding today. I ride 3 to 4 times a week. I don't call it riding. I call it exercising. I like, my animals ready to go, exercise at all gates, and stuff. And plus, they love it. They love getting out there and getting exercise and stuff. And, when stuff gets crazy and I need to ride 350 miles in a week, I can do it. Anyway, my coworker just gave her son a pony. Yeah, but one thing about a horse. I believe horses, dolphins and horses are the smartest animals on the planet. When it comes to animals. Because horses, they're so human. That's the only way to put it. I know exactly how that horse is thinking. Especially when you had them for years and you got thousands of miles on them and stuff. But they're like humans. Like I'm sure dolphins are. People who work with dolphins, like, God, I'm almost like I'm talking to a human. They can understand me the same way. They act. Okay. Oh, Anyway, you get to know horses, you'll know what I mean. Dealing with a little kid. But anyway, I do believe horses are definitely one of the most intelligent animals on the planet, and they're cool. But nice thing about it, I can go out to middle of nowhere and get off and take a 2 hour nap out there in the sun in the grass, and wake up and my horse is still right next to me eating grass. Not too many people could do that. I want to go ride and I go up to the gate no matter where they are in the pasture. I'm sitting out there with the halter by the gate. They come to me. I don't go to them. Anyway, but it takes a while you got a horse, becoming a good horseman. Like I say, I want to be a cowboy, 40 years old. I was going through a divorce. I decided to go out to the mountains of Wyoming in the middle of winter. Because I always knew cows. I worked around cows and stuff, but I never was a cowboy. I always wanted to be one, and learned how to rope and ride, and learned how to be a cowboy. So it's definitely a life. Being a cowboy is not a job. It's a way of life. And if you don't like it, you gotta like it. You'd never survive if you didn't, because getting to learn how to ride a horse ride's hard enough. And working on them and roping and stuff. But there ain't nothing better. Believe me, the first branding I was at, and I got to go out and rope some calves. The first calf I roped, I'd done a lot of practice and stuff. We had an indoor and outdoor arena, so I practiced all the time inside. And but that first calf I roped and I got to drag into the branding pit. Talk about a 40-year-old film, a 5-year-old dream. Never give up on your dreams, people. They'll make you feel real young no matter what age you accomplish them at. So, are you into horse racing? No, I'm not into horse racing. Actually, they're having the next town about 45 miles away from us. They built a quarter horse track there. And I tell you what, I had one horse one time that he was fast. Fastest. They say a horse can only do 45. That's bullshit. This horse did at least 55. He was fast. And I said, God, I'd love to run quarter miles with this horse. And I'd be like, when I was riding with my one daughter, and we'd already rode like 12 miles, right? We were coming back to town. In the last mile and a half before to town, we let him open up, because a horse can trot forever and stuff. So you always let them save that for the end. But we'd run that mile and a half. And my daughter, that maybe weighed 85 pounds at the time, if maybe 80, right? She's smaller, but she's on Kiowa. Kiowa's at a dead run, right? I'm behind him on red, right? Just holding him back. Finally, I let him go, and he just flies by Kiowa like he's standing still. That horse was crazy fast, but I lost him to colic. But yeah, he was an awesome horse. Fastest horse I ever had. He would have definitely won some races at this quarter-mile track. Maybe one day I'll get another quarter horse that's like that. Fastest lightning. And he was awesome. I can shoot off my horses and stuff too. That's one of the things that it's a must for me. I have to be able to shoot off them. And that means not only shoot off them in a box canyon with a rifle where they don't even flinch. That's what I mean, shooting off them. Not where they rear up or anything like that. They don't even move. Anyway. But Jeff, hey, how you doing? Got somebody in here. I tell you what, Jeff, bring up a subject. I'm ready to talk for 2 hours tonight. I want to sit there and discuss stuff that's going on in the world and stuff. Anything. You want to talk about anything? Anybody watching what's going on in Portland tonight? They're going to have a football game there too? I'm watching horse racing now. Lost out. I tell you what, I love Seabiscuit, the movie Seabiscuit. Of course, the movie was really nothing like real life, but I like the attitude Seabiscuit had. Okay, and yeah, I love those horses. The only thing I don't like about race horses, right? Racing them when they're young, at 2 years old. It's just too young. I mean, at 2 years old, yeah, you should be starting to ride them, but jeepers cripes, give them a year. What they can do at 2, they can do at 3 if you train them right. Sit there and all of a sudden have ankle problems and stuff like that. They're too young. Everybody knows you don't get on a horse at first until it's 2 years old. And if you train them right, you know, you get them when they're colts and stuff, start working them when they're like 6 months old, getting them halter broke. You get, when you train a horse just to ride, it's just getting them used to everything. Getting used to the halter on, lead them around. And then you take the rope and you sit there and be able to touch it all over the horse without the horse just getting used to the rope on it. And then if you want to teach them the neck rein, that's easy. You sit there and put the rope in a loop around their neck, and you walk to the side, and you put the pressure on the side of the neck, and they turn because of the pressure on their neck. Then you go the other way. And then, by the time they're a year old, they're already used to everything. You just got to wait another year till they get bigger. But you keep working with them all the time. And then when you get on them, they don't buck. You just got to, you squeeze them and they don't quite know what that means. You got to swat them in the butt a little bit to get them to move. I've had horses at 2 years old where people goes, God, this horse got a demeanor of a 10-year-old. Anyway, Tyrant. Illinois' accountability was Tyrant, you talking to me or you talking about Prickster? You have a channel. Yes, I have a channel. I figured you want to start racing horses earlier. Nah. I'm too big. I like getting on my horses and running and stuff, but I'm not jockey size. I'm about 100 pounds over that, maybe a little bit more. So anyway, but yeah, horses are great. It just, especially when you ride like I do. I mean, when you can sit there and go to the mountains and you disperse horse camp and you just sit there and go riding. Stuff where four-wheelers can't even get to. And this is the thing, you go out there and you see these animals, right? And these animals aren't used to dealing with people. You're so far back there. Like, that's why hunting on a horse is so easy if you go far enough back where animals aren't used to seeing humans, because their first initial deal is they see the horse until you start moving or whatever, but they don't recognize it as a human being. And you can get pretty close. You can get real close. I mean, I've had it where I've dealt with coyotes quite a bit. They get close, they don't care. But I had the first one I dealt with, I had my one dog with me, and we were riding through the pastures, and I kind of looked back like that out of the corner of my eye, I saw something follow me, but I could have swore Lisa, that was my dog. She was ahead of me. And I looked back again, and oh yeah, there's a coyote about 4 feet off my back flank, and my horse was following the horse. And then, of course, Lisa comes back and sees this coyote takes off, and it starts running towards this. We don't have wolves here, but we have what they call coy dogs, and coyotes and dogs that interbreed and stuff. But this had to be a big black coy dog. And Lisa was about the size of a coyote. And I had to sit there and chase her down with the horse because she was running right towards that big son of a bitch. They do that. I've had quite a few instances with coyotes coming up on dens and stuff with my dogs. And actually fight with my dogs, and I don't like shooting them and stuff. So, especially when they have little ones. But anyway, we should all have guns. Well, the thing is, a gun is a tool, right? If you're in the city, hell yeah. Our country's getting beyond dangerous and you're supposed to give up your Second Amendment? Hell no. But out here, it's a tool. You're on a ranch, you got to take care of predators. Okay, you got to shoot coyotes because they get out of control to where a cow has a calf. As soon as she kicks it out, they're all over the calf to kill the calf. And then you got a half a dozen or 8 of them chasing the cow, and she's trying to get back to the herd. A gun's a tool. That's just the way it is. So, but, I was brought up, taught, respectful about guns, knowing that if you shoot somebody, you could kill somebody. This is at a young age. I was in the Marine Corps to learn this, to respect a gun, and learned how to shoot it. I mean, back when things were free in the spring, we'd drive down the gravel roads and these striped gophers would sit there and peek their head up by their hole up over the grass, and we'd park sometimes 150 yards away and ping a striped gopher in the head with open sights and a 22. But see, that was nothing special back then. That was what every farm boy could do. We'd sit there and, challenge each other and stuff. Awesome. Awesome times. Guess probably don't want to get caught. All the stuff we used to have fun doing, people are not allowed to do anymore. We gave up so much fun just to have a cell phone in our hand. Anyway, if you like the content, please hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification. Trying to get the channel to grow. Anything helps. Check out my other content on my channel. You'll like my shorts. A lot of them that YouTube don't like, but, social media. My God, can you imagine being a rich billionaire who gets served by everybody around him and want to silence some little guy on YouTube because what he says bothers you so much? That's what's happening. All right. And like I say, on YouTube now, it seems like the shadow banning's going. If you sit there and say something the right don't want you to say, they start shadow banning that. So it looks like Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos are covering for Donald Trump now too. Whatever. This is the new world we live in, folks. New world we live in. The new normal. How come the new normal keeps getting worse and worse all the time? All right. I would love to bring back the new normal of 1789 when the constitutional government was first put in action. You're talking about that, but seriously, go watch some auditing and you would be mind blown how many people don't understand at least the First Amendment. The thing is, okay, if somebody's exercising their constitutional rights legally in a way you disagree with, doesn't make it wrong. It just means you disagree with it. The first 10 amendments, okay, this is the deal of the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights was added to the Constitution by the people who ratified it because they wanted to make sure something was put into the Constitution to make sure if that the government decided to become all powerful, even pretty much says that in the preamble. If the government starts intruding on this Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, it's time to invoke the Declaration of Independence. And they have done that already for many, many years. Any law against the Second Amendment is unconstitutional. Any law. So we're already past the point, okay? Let's not even deal with due process and stuff. Talk to the January 6th protesters about that. Or the 10th Amendment, states' rights. But the First Amendment, hey, being a Marine, I hate people burning the American flag. Pisses me off. I think they should be shamed for the rest of their life. But that's the best you can do. Because if you allow the government to infringe on one person's rights, you just authorize the government to infringe on everybody's rights. And that's the way it is, folks. That's why we got extremists on both sides screaming, shut them up, take guns away from this group, take guns away from that group. And all it is, when we got a Republican democracy in, the Republicans are the wolf and the Democrats are the sheep. And when we switch over with all the power that Trump's put in their presidency, the Democrats are going to be the wolves and the MAGA are going to be the sheep. That's the problem with democracies. We got two of them in this country, but we only got one constitutional republic. If we get back to that, maybe we wouldn't have such a problem. Hate the government, not the flag. Exactly. The government's out of control. Our country's been hijacked, just like Israel's been hijacked, just like England's been hijacked, just like Australia's been hijacked, New Zealand, Germany, France. Poland seems to be the only ones holding their ground. They've all been hijacked. I mean, look at the fruitcakes we have in charge of our countries. Canada's another one. The fruitcakes, the people you would never invite over for Thanksgiving dinner, right? Would you invite these screwballs over? If they were your friends, say, hey, come over and meet the family. Can't wait to show you off. Anyway, we are a constitutional republic, exactly. We are a land of laws, not of men. That means all men are subject to. We need to get back to the Constitution. But that can only stand with a moral people, like Thomas Jefferson said. And our moral culture is gone. We've no foreign entanglements. Well, we pretty much blew that out the goddamn water. We pay in taxes. I mean, what our founding fathers considered taxation without representation is nothing compared to. They had it better than we do with taxes with representation, didn't they? Well, they have a half a cent. And this is the thing, too. Why were all the rich and powerful people fighting for the revolution? Because those were the ones that we were being affected by the tax. Those were the ones who had all the money. The average Smo didn't have enough to worry about. But these days and age, we're not going to have that. Because if the rich get in trouble, too big to fail, we'll just keep printing money till they're out of debt, and too big to jail, so they'll never get put in jail for no matter what they do. And the kids, unborn generations will continuously be born with a silver spoon in their mouth, and will never ever worry about going broke or going to jail. Yep, that's what our founding fathers had in store for this country, right? Animals express love differently, I think. I meant to say most cops don't even understand how failure to identify is a secondary offense. I don't know. Things are getting crazy. Like I say, what happened in Chicago yesterday with them, ambushing the police with 10 cars, that was organized ambush. If they're getting up like that, anyway, it's going to lead to bad stuff. I was against military being in these towns to begin with. And people are going to say, because in the military, I never once trained in the Marine Corps. I never once trained to deal with American civilians. I was trained to deal with our foreign enemies. So now Trump wants to use our cities as training grounds for the military. Like I say, every major base has somewhere on that base that has a combat town or troops that got to train for urban combat training in that town. Okay. Why we need to go into the big cities is beyond me. Why should we be training for urban assaults in our cities? It's nothing. The military trains, guess what? They're going to come in there and train all hours of the day, training, setting up checkpoints. People are going to get used to going through military checkpoints to where, and then when does the military leave the city? They're still in DC. Hell, it's been almost 60 days now, hasn't it? And they're extended till December or whatever. And then in Portland, Chicago, like you say, you want the troops out of your city, start getting along. Think about Bikini Atoll, those poor crustaceans. Are you talking about the nuclear test? That was supposed to be, I think they said it was supposed, anyway, it was a lot bigger than they thought it was going to be. You mean that one? You know, what'd you have to do? Sit there, go on your computer and look that one up before you could go on here? But yeah, nuclear test. And supposedly the U.S. is planning another nuclear test. If we go into the countries, Russia and the United States, start doing nuclear tests again like they were in the 50s. I listen to a lot of old-time radio shows, right? And they have a lot of the older commercials on, the commercials they played on the show in the 50s, just what they played on the radio. And you listen to the news from on there, they're talking about atomic bomb testings and stuff. It's crazy. And another thing, the way they used to advertise cigarettes was unreal. I can see why the cigarette companies got sued. And I'm sure Big Pharma in the next 30 or 40 years will have to deal with the same thing the cigarette companies dealt with. But it's unreal, okay? But the nice thing about I listen to that stuff on YouTube, YouTube don't have commercials. I can listen to old Gunsmoke radio shows, CBS Radio, Mystic Theater, Adventure Theater, Lux Radio Theater. Tell you what, radio used to be the shit. The thing about radio is you get to use your imagination, just like when you read a book, right? And it's such a good book, and you just got this picture in your mind on how the book is, and you say, God, if they make this into a movie, and then they make it into a movie, and it's not at all what you wanted or what you, anyway, a good book and a good radio show will just take you away. Anyway, I was healthy back then. This guy gets the news from Google. No, I don't get the news from Google. My dad served in the Pacific in subs, and they basically fed him cigarettes and horse meat. Forget the commercials. The government gave him lung cancer. You know, the thing is, right? I remember those Camp Lejeune commercials. If you were in Camp Lejeune during his time, I was in Camp Lejeune during that time. And I drank a lot of water at Camp Lejeune. And it must have had the opposite effect on me. All right. Nobody said serving your country in a war is a great thing to be doing. You sacrifice a lot to be in the service. A lot of freedoms that Americans don't understand. But when you get out of the military, you understand your freedoms and you're not going to give them up. What's this? Anyway, Falco. Message deleted. Hey, Jeff. Yeah, I guess we got some people in here that are getting a little crazy. But anyway, if they get too bad, I'll get rid of them. You know, what do you do in today's world? Nobody wants to get along. People sit there. I mean, could you imagine when I go to YouTube, I watch what I want to listen. I listen to a lot. Like I listen to the radio. I sit there, put my headbud in, and I sit there and go around doing my work, listening to my news and stuff. But the thing is, I don't go on these channels, even if I disagree. It's not like I write a hurtful comment. These people have a right to their own opinions. Why would you get on social media and get all worked up about what's said, so worked up that you got to just leave the nastiest comment possible? Like you say, the human being is split, human sapien is splitting into two new human beings. The ones that are extremely emotional and want to live in, deal with morality instead of reality, right? So, and those people that you can't talk any type of logic to. The ones that are totally dependent on the system, blame everybody for their problems. Don't realize that this is a land of milk and honey, but you still got to go out there and milk the cow and go sit there and work with the bees. It's not going to be placed on your plate. Anyway, this country is not about free handouts. Never was, never, should have never been. I'll get onto that. If you like the content, please hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification. Help me get this channel to grow. They want to silence us. They want this crazy stuff to go. I'm not a mega guy or a liberal on here telling you, hey, we need to have a war with each other. No, I'm saying the 50% of us in between, these two sides need to sit there and come together, whether you're on the left or the right. We're all on this sinking ship together. Anybody see how it's sinking faster and faster? And people are still listening to the band play. Everything's fine. Really? We need to come together, people. What's it going to take for Americans to come together like we were on September 11th and 12th and, weeks after that, like after 9/11? What's it going to take for America to be like, no matter what your color is, no matter what your gender is, and the nationality is, no matter what your income level is, we're all in this same shit together. What's it going to take? More violence, right? Nothing good's going to bring us together. It's going to have to be violence. Right? Am I wrong? Violence brings people together way more than good things. I mean, let's go an example. The Apollo program. Apollo 11 landed on the moon. Everybody's excited. Apollo 12 went up. Apollo 13 went up. Wasn't even put on the news and stuff. Their show wasn't even aired that they did from space on the news. And then about an hour after that show that nobody saw, they had that accident, the explosion on Apollo 13, and all of a sudden everybody was concerned about it. Tragedy. What kind of tragedy are we going to have to bring people together again? Together, let's be Americans, stand for our amendments. Exactly. Like I say, the Bill of Rights was put into the Constitution. Add it to the Constitution by the people who ratified the Constitution to say, hey, if they start infringing, the government starts infringing on this Bill of Rights, it's time to invoke the Declaration of Independence. Flat out, read the preamble. Of course, I'm paraphrasing it, but they said a lot more eloquently, but that's what they said. See, this is the thing, okay? Most people can read the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution and understand them, okay? After just reading, they're written in simple English. And maybe you need to look up a word, see what they meant, okay? But that's the average guy. He's called a patriot, or actually a woman. That's a patriot who's smart enough to do that. And then you got people that go to college for 8 years and study those documents and still don't understand what they mean, they're called politicians. If you got to go to college for 8 years to become a constitutional lawyer, you're the dumbest son of a bitch in the world, okay? You're just going to college to sit there and see how to circumvent the Constitution, to make it so it doesn't protect the people anymore. Anyway, it's easily written. That's just my thought on that. It is crazy to believe that real America is somebody who wants to be loyal to the Constitution. I know. It's going to be crazy when the Democrats get in charge and label patriots a terrorist organization. But let's not forget, I'm a Marine. So the Democrats over look at me as a domestic extremist, right? But then again, what did King George think of the Patriots? The Minutemen and shit. He thought the same way as a lot of people in our government think of, like, the 3% or the Oath Keepers, right? I don't give a shit. I took an oath to protect the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that means protecting the American citizen too, no matter how you think. My oath does not, my oath was taken with a blindfold on, holding the scales, just like the Justice Lady. That's what my oath is. I'm not going to have bias one way or the other. I'll only sit there and defend but then again, if you want to fight the Constitution, and you're an enemy of the Constitution. But like I say, my loyalty to my oath is not a biased thing. By no means. Yep. I already fought the foreigners on foreign soil. And like I said, I'd be over there and I'd be like, why are we doing this? This was when Reagan was in office. Why are we doing this over here? So we don't have to fight it in our country. Well, 38, 37, 39 years later, it's here. So I guess we must have failed, huh? I'm loyal to no party or man. I'm loyal to the United States country. Exactly. No party. George Washington didn't want political parties because he said they were bad, because they just divide people. I don't see our country through a red lens or a blue lens. I see it through clear lenses in the same type of thought pattern that our founding fathers had. Remember, the Constitution was written after they had fought a Revolutionary War, and 8 years later, through a process of the federal and anti-federalist papers, came up with a way to form a federal government. Okay? And even the Federalists who were for a Constitution would not believe how bad it's gotten. Okay? And this is what I'm saying about the Constitution too. There were people, the Constitution was passed by 2 votes. So that means the Constitution, since the next day after it was ratified, these sons of bitches have been trying to undermine the Constitution for 249 years. And look how successful they've gotten. It's not like this undermining the Constitution started 50, 60, 70 years ago. No, it started the day after the new government was formed. Both, whatever political party, they all, the thing about this country is with the pursuit of happiness, you were never forced to live the way somebody else wanted you to live. Ever. And now politicians just seem to think, God, if I can get them to live this way, they'll just be happier. Doesn't work now, does it? The sailor answer, they taught us not to piss on them. Yeah, you'll have 16-inch shells at them instead. Oh, believe me, I got a picture of Iowa back in the day doing a full broadside. We were on a different ship, and they said the Iowa was hitting some targets and stuff. And they came and announced that the Iowa was going to do a full broadside, so we could be out there and take pictures of it. But they don't even use battleships no more. So anyway, that was back in the day. I've even been to that little tiny know nothing island, Diego Garcia, halfway around the world. We're not allowed to go swimming in the water because the sharks are so bad. Not much to do on that island. Nothing but a British-owned island that's basically a aircraft carrier that doesn't move anywhere in the middle of the Indian Ocean. Anyway, yeah, I got to see a lot of things. Anyway, anybody else got something you want me to talk about? Something we can discuss? What's going on with the world? Something funny? No? Anyway, so what should we talk about, Isaiah? What should be the next subject? Hey, I tell you what, at least it wasn't a weekend like last weekend. But things will get crazy again. That's one reason why they need to open the mental asylums again, because there's people that actually are hurting and probably would like to get treated right, so they don't do bad things. Anyway, favorite horse? Oh, I like the quarter horse. Now, the first horse I still got him. He's my retired Gildy. Was a black and white paint. Why, you say? Why would you want a black and white paint? Because I grew up watching Bonanza, and I wanted a horse just like Little Joe. So I got a black and white paint. And then I've had quite a few horses. Don't really like Arabians. I like the quarter horse. I really like the quarter horse. They're good cowboy horse because they have a lot of endurance, a lot of speed, and they love working cows. Quarter horses love working cows. You can always tell when you got a good cow horse, right? You'll be out riding. If they see a gate, they want to go into that gate, into that pasture, because that's where the cows are at. A good working horse is like a good working dog. They love working. They love working. I know Arabians are beautiful. I had a white one at one time, named her Snowball. And the cool thing about her, you get her sweating, and she would turn blue. She had a white coat with some spots, almost like not quite like it, kind of like an Appaloosa. She wasn't an Appaloosa, but kind of like that. And she would turn this beautiful, like, ever been in the mountains, snow mountains, in the mountains when it snows? I mean, where the snow's 20 feet deep and stuff, where these pine trees look like little Christmas trees. That color of the snow. And what she'd do when she'd sweat, she was just an awesome horse. But she got, like I said, I've had quite a few horses in my time. So, but she was cool too. Anyway, definitely a big horse person. That's part of one of my preps is my horses. So, going out there and riding, it clears your head. Communing with nature, when you ride your horse, when you have thousands of miles on a horse, just all I got to do is position myself in the saddle a certain way, and Beauty knows what I want her to do. If I want her to trot or walk, I mean, I don't have to, we're on the same page, you might say. And I love it. So, especially when you have some place to ride. Hey, people in the big city and stuff, I don't know. I couldn't handle living in there. My horse is Beauty. Yeah, I got my Beauty too, my black Beauty. Christina, just go to my channel and watch some of my shorts. I got, you'll see my horses. Like I say, the black and white paint, he's retired. And then I got my beauty. I always used to have two rideable horses. But, then I used to ride 6 times a week and stuff. I'm not riding like that. And I'm not going to get a horse for just sit there. Okay. But, I'll probably get another one. I just don't, if I have to pass on, I don't want to leave my animals with somebody else. Okay. And I'm thinking if I'm going to get another horse, I may pay stud services and let her have a colt and start from scratch. And I know you got to wait. Sucks waiting to sit there when you got that horse ready to be ridden. You just got to wait till they get older, but whatever. Then I'll have another 2-year-old colt that has a 10-year-old demeanor. Nothing ain't better. So, I've been going for an hour, 30 minutes. Hey, if you like the content, please hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification. And stay with the channel this week. Like say I'm going camping. I'm going to put out some good, I'll be doing by the fire at night and putting out some shorts. And it's going to be a cool week and stuff. Got to enjoy the nice weather while it lasts, because when it gets bad, I got a feeling it's going to turn around real quick. It'll be knee deep in snow. Time to sit there and put it up for the winter. Anyway, but he's a boy, long story. Anyway, yeah, check him out, Christine, see my horses and stuff. So I just put a recent one on there. I've learned how to edit and stuff, but yeah, like I say, my ponies, my horses, just very low maintenance. I can keep them in with one strand of barbed wire. They won't challenge the fence at all. They're just well behaved. Anyway, camping in Tent City? No. I'm going to go disperse camping out in one of the national forests. And one thing that's nice about my pickup is I'll bring my solar shower so I can take a shower. But my pickup is a 91 3/4 ton Ford, and the back seat folds down into the bed, and I can take the passenger bucket seat out. And I got all that room, so I actually, my tent is my trunk. So it's more comfortable. I mean, I sit there and put 4 inches of foam on that back bed, and plenty of room. But I have my solar shower and stuff. But yeah, I want to make sure I still got skills. Starting my fire with my flint and stuff. I'll make videos on all that. So that'll be this coming week. Work on my YouTube channel a little bit. See if I can get it to grow. Kick out some good quality content, right? Anyway, but I do appreciate everybody being here. Arizona has some awesome camping areas. Got hot in the summer. Yeah, I want to check out the mountains of northern Arizona. I want to check them out. Plus, I would like to go to the Superstition Mountains and look for the Lost Dutchman's mine. I don't know. That property may be all private property now. I don't know. But see if I can find the Lost Dutchman's mine. Ever watch videos on that? Kind of crazy. But you got to do that during the wintertime too, because it's too hot during the summertime. But anything on a horse, be like City Slickers too. Go out on a 2-month horse odyssey to see if I can find any gold. I mean, actually, if you were to go out on land and find gold with public land, are you even allowed to keep it? How would you go about that? Go to a jeweler and say, I found this nugget. What can I get for it? Anyway, but yeah, Arizona, I can't wait to get to the mountains. And I'm going to go visit the spot where Travis Walton got, well, whatever happened to him with the UFO. I'd rather go see that than the Grand Canyon. This is over by Global, Arizona. It is dangerous over there. Man, you're in res territory. I don't care. I never had a problem. up here in Nebraska, I never had a problem getting along with Indians, ever. I just been welcomed on many reservations, never had a problem with it. On Sundays, I'd be down in the basement playing pool where I was only the white guy and the rest were Indians. I got along just fine with that culture. They're just a little bit more suspicious about people they let in. Believe me, I went through on that one reservation. It was a period of being trusted. Hey, I broke into a woman. That is over, but yeah, I don't mind. You talk about dangerous. It's dangerous in this country. I would rather go up to deal with the reservation than go to these big cities and have to continuously watch my back. Anyway, that's the way I feel about it. But I think I'm going to get off here. I've been going for an hour and 36 minutes. I appreciate everybody being here. All the comments I got, the likes, the subscriptions. Appreciate it. I will be back again tomorrow night. And we'll see what the discussion will be about tomorrow night, but I'm sure it'll be something about how crazy the world's getting and how much Twilight Zone we live in. So anyway, but yeah, come on back. Share my content. Check it out. Like I say, if you don't like the thoughts of the day, it's nothing personal. It just gets you to think, okay? Yep, I will. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate everybody being here, and I will take care, and you take care. Everybody needs to survive till tomorrow, but always be on alert everywhere. Road rage, just everything, people. Okay? And it's better to walk away from a crazy person and take a hit to your pride a little bit than it is have to tangle with these people and maybe have to take their life. Okay? You'd rather have your pride hurt a little bit than having to do real damage to somebody that just didn't know any better. Anyway, but yeah, everybody stay safe. Alert is not alert is not paranoid. Alert is alert. Paranoid is when you're hiding in your room. Paranoid is a crackhead who's hiding in their room with their house with the shades pulled and stuff, or a meth head. That's paranoid. Being alert, just you're aware of your surroundings, of your real surroundings, not what you think is going on. Okay? Being alert, knowing who's all around you, your neighbors and stuff. Just, like an animal. An animal don't go through the woods paranoid, but an animal's always on alert for danger, right? That's the easiest way to put it. Always be on alert for danger, but go out through your day, okay? Because paranoia gets you nowhere. You react to a situation when things get crazy. But anyway, alert is the key to survival, right? That's why, when I go out riding and I'm out in the middle of nowhere, my animals know way before I do when there's something around. Okay, they know, and you trust them. Okay, just like at your house, if your dog starts barking, he knew somebody was outside, or they knew somebody was outside before you did. Anyway, yeah, alert is alert. People that want to go through life with blinders on, well, it may not work out that great for you. Anyway, that's all I got for tonight. Tomorrow night, I will be back. See what we'll discuss. I'll put out a few shorts. And I want to just do a live stream tonight to see how it would do without me putting no content out throughout the day. But, they hammer down on it. Whatever. you get used to dealing with it. But sometimes it's like my channels. I'm on the interstate, right? Sometimes I'm on the shoulder, putzing, trying to get to that next exit at 3 miles an hour, and all of a sudden my car roars into action, and I'm in the fucking acceleration lane doing 80 miles an hour down the interstate, and then whoa, back back on the shoulder. That's what my channel's like. Anyway, there's not a lot of consistency with it. I wonder if the algorithm has anything to do with that. Like when I anyway, that's why they have analytics. So I can look at YouTube and say, last month was definitely better than this month. Anyway, appreciate everybody being here. Everybody have a great evening. And we'll see you tomorrow on the Hidden Truths channel. This is Tom. I'm out of here.